Yeah, Aatrox still has the revive for these games. Now the Tahm Kench coming in alongside it is something I like to see from IgNar. Now, usually he's on more of these, playmaking supports. I love champions like his Thresh, but the Tahm Kench works when you want to have a split push style, when you want to control the rest of the map. Something we did see from Abbedagge back in week 3 was his impressive Akali performance, and this could be signaling another spicier champ for him in the mid lane.
Well, we'll wait and see what Abbedagge is going to get locked in for him, because at the moment Rogue have the choice and they will lock the Olaf. Expect that to be in the jungle. That's where we most commonly see him. And now the Syndra as well. Blind pick mid very early on here from Rogue.
Yeah, interesting. Syndra has been a champion Larssen has gone towards. We know he loves these mages in the mid lane, so it makes sense and gives them a pretty strong 2 versus 2 in terms of early game damage here with the Olaf and the Syndra. But we'll see what Schalke want to run into that, because there are a lot of options in the jungle. The Sejuani with that little nerf is no longer being banned here, so it could be an option here for Schalke.
Instead, they are going to lock in the Akali. Strong split pusher for Abbedagge. Already their comp rounding itself out incredibly well. They will ban the Lux coming into the second phase, and neither team has picked an AD carry as of yet, Ender, so maybe we'll see some target bans towards that role.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, and when we look at HeQ's champion pool in particular, because he's the new player in this match, we look back to past seasons, and yes, he was all about those utility AD carries, but over in the Ultra Liga, he's actually been playing a lot more lane bully types. He's been playing the Lucian, the Xayah, even has a couple games on that Pike, so he has been showing different styles on that regional level.
And although the Ultra Liga is a very high tier league, it's not like playing up against an upset, for example,
Certainly
on the
not.
LEC stage. HeQ will find a much tougher task in bullying out the Schalke bottom lane, especially when they already have a Tahm Kench who's so good at absorbing some of that pressure.
Exactly, definitely is. Now, already, there you have it. That's the Xayah ban, taking that option away here from HeQ, while Rogue probably going to be banning the Sejuani here, with the Jarvan off the table. The Olaf, the Skarner are sort of the 2 other options that we see a whole lot of recently, but the jungle Sylas has actually been popping up in other regions around the world, so Rogue spot that out and take it away.
That they do. Now Schalke may be looking towards that Sejuani pick that you alluded to already, Ender. A very powerful jungler, good with melee solo lanes as well, sets you up so well for that stun, and it's a very safe pick as well.
Yeah, I'd really like to see it here, especially because it would likely force a cleanse on towards Larssen, who doesn't really want to be taking that when he's up against the Akali in the middle lane, but instead, they're going to be going for the Lee Sin, so they value more damage in these skirmishes around things like the Olaf and whatnot, and maybe looking for those big insect kicks onto an immobile target like the Syndra.
It will be the first time we've seen Trick play the Lee Sin this split. Of course, he's played it many times in the past. And we'll look at that as it goes into the game. Rogue, on the other hand, decide to lock in their bot lane as they have to. Lucian, Braum, one of the most oppressive bottom lanes in the game, and it harks back to HeQ playing those strong, dominant laners in the Super League.
Exactly, it's what has been working for HeQ regionally, so it makes a whole lot of sense when the Xayah his most played is taken off the board to return to that pick here. Alongside the Braum, certainly good up against the Tahm Kench as well, to play a lot of CC. Now, Upset will be piloting the Ezreal himself, so this is a matchup we saw a lot of, back in spring when this Lucian plus Ezreal were very popular. Ezreal is seen as a good option into Lucian, not because it will beat him in the lane, but because he can absorb the pressure very easily.
Surviving the lane is Schalke's bottom lane's objective here. Ezreal and Tahm Kench very good at doing that. The rest of the map very open, though, you have to feel. We will talk a lot about that Mordekaiser pick when we get into the game, I'm sure. But talk to me about how you expect these lanes are going to go, Ender.
Yeah, these lanes are pretty interesting because looking at it right now, it looks like Rogue have a lot of control over the bottom half of the map, the mid lane jungle as well. They have a lot of strong early game pressure to throw Schalke's way. If Schalke's going to be making a move, it's probably going to be up towards that top lane. The Aatrox bringing some CC should make it relatively easy to catch out this Mordekaiser. But you can't catch out Mordekaiser at level 6 because he's going to use that ultimate, turn a 2v1 into a 1v1.
Put you in the realm of death and see if you can stand up to the 1v1 pressure. That's the question here. Schalke looking for their 4th win of the split. Rogue trying to pick up their 3rd. Both teams really only beaten teams beneath them. Schalke did pick up a win against Splice, but neither team, it really feels, has found their footing yet in the LEC Summer Split.
No, they haven't. Both these teams going to be trying to prove that here today. As we return after Rift Rivals, they've had so much time to practice. Let's see what they can do.
Schalke facing up against Rogue for our first game here of week 4. Almost halfway through the split, of course. Ender is already shaping up to be a pretty spicy one. Schalke obviously vying to get into that top 4, challenge the teams like Fnatic, like G2 up at the top, but we'll see if they can do it. Oh, that's a sight for sore eyes, Ender. It's been too long since I've seen a European game of League of Legends, and here we are, kicking off the week with what is likely to be a very closely contested matchup. Now, I know that I want to take you away from Mordekaiser, but I don't think I'm going to be able to distract you from it for too long. So let's talk about the Mord in the top lane. Let's talk about this pick from Prophet. Yeah,
the Mordekaiser, very interesting, coming in with his changes on this patch. Now, the first thing we look at is the keystone option here for him. He's going to be running the Conqueror. This is something you will see a lot when you're against melee matchups. You know, these guys that you want to fight over an extended period of time, we'll see him probably picking up items like the Riley's Crystal Scepter, the Hextech Proto Belt as well, to try and lock on and attach to Odoamne's Aatrox. If you're against a ranged champion, maybe try the phase rush for yourself, because you're not going to be getting all those auto attacks down inside the laning phase, and you're not going to get the bang for your buck out of Conk.
So what's the expectation in that lane specifically? You know, a Mordekaiser into an Aatrox. Am I expecting to see bloodshed early on?
I mean, you're not going to expect to see bloodshed early. I don't think. The Aatrox, I would expect, has control over this matchup, especially in the early levels. Where you'll see Mordekaiser be a lot more prevalent is post level 6. So once he hits level 6, you can no longer gank this champion because his ultimate is a forced 1v1 zone up against him. So Trick, if he wants to impact this lane, will have to do it before that level 6 mark.
Well, Trick has been a key part of the Schalke lineup so far. Of course, coming into the team this split, has had pretty effective early games most of the time, making his team, setting his team up for success is what I'm trying to say. But meanwhile, we're looking at the bottom lane as Q and Vander try and get just a little bit of damage down onto IgNar and Upset, who are weathering the storm, but we are only 2 minutes in, so I think that's perhaps a little bit preemptive from me.
Yeah, I mean, at level 1, Ezreal can hit the wave with Q from very far away, so he usually does get priority in this matchup early on, especially if you have, you know, a support that wants to play forward. But as soon as level 2 comes around, I'm sure you've all heard about the Lucian level 2 power spike. Now he's got it.
Oh, but they Upset and IgNar hit level 2 as well.
So yeah, that level 2's okay.
Yeah, but the thing with this is Upset can now just jump away.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you hit a Winter's Bite, he can just leap away. You can see concussive blows not quite proc there on the Ezreal. But my eyes go to the 2 junglers as we see them go through their rotations here. Trick on the blue buff has been incredibly impactful for Schalke so far this tournament. Inspired as well, one of the new players on Rogue, trying to set them up for success, but it's really hard against a player like Trick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Inspired has been very impressive coming into the league. You know, his early games, especially if you look at his impact in terms of kills and assists at 15 minutes, he ranks 2nd in the league. He's been very good on champions like the Rek'Sai, so this Olaf fits into that wheelhouse of having early game pressure. So I'm very excited to see him evolve as a player, because it feels a little bit maybe like when Selfmade came into the league last split, where he came in and was very strong early on a team that was struggling or was trying to, you know, prove themselves. Inspired seems to be in a very similar situation already.
Of course, we were looking at Trick's stats there. Inspired has had a good tournament as well, but Trick has been doing a very good job as well. It's a story of the junglers, Ender. I kind of baited you and outsmarted you by switching it around. Inspired unable to steal away the Scuttle Crab there from Trick, who gets it, but Inspired is actually already a level up. Abbedagge forced underneath its tower here in the matchup against Syndra, which is to be expected.
Yeah, everything going as we would plan here. Now, Inspired is moving up towards that top side of the map, so he will control the Scuttle Crab, and because he is Olaf, you just power clear through that jungle. So he will be able to control that side of the map, then probably look for a reset. Now, it's not going to be a Predator on this Olaf, which is something we see a lot. Instead, it is the Conqueror, so it's much stronger for dueling, and he should win just about any trade he takes up against Trick. But right now, he is going to be spotted out on a ward, which will be dying. So in a moment, Odoamne will not have any idea if Inspired is still around.
You can see Abbedagge chunked out quite a bit in the mid lane as well. 15 CS down or thereabouts right now. Upset jumps forward down towards the bottom side, but that's just a little bit of poke back and forth. Abbedagge expected to lose this matchup. Did pick into the Syndra though, which is an interesting one because it really showed that Schalke wanted to go for this split push 1-3-1 playstyle and were willing to give up some mid lane pressure.
Yeah, I don't think Abbedagge wants to be 13 CS down at the moment. If you look at this, Larssen playing the lane very well. He's freezing the wave at the moment. I don't think Abbedagge should have shown there because Larssen was about to get that reset off, but instead now Abbedagge will be forced to try and farm very far forward in his lane, where he is vulnerable.
Inspired looking to see perhaps if Trick decided to gank this top side. We said Schalke would be more likely to play around the top side of the map, whereas Rogue have the advantage in mid and bot, and that seems to be how it's playing out as of yet. Although Prophet's done a pretty good job of just farming up in this lane and managing to survive early on. And I think the question now for me becomes, where are your key points of attack for both these two teams? You look at the top lane, you look at the level 6s coming out, maybe that's where we expect some action to happen.
Yeah, I think that has to be the area, because right now mid lane, both of these players are going to be going for a reset, unless Trick could cancel. That could be really big for them.
The cancel does come out.
Yeah, I mean, he does have teleport, but what this buys is Abbedagge time. Right now he's farming on very low HP, and you can check how much gold he actually has at the moment too, because sitting on 960, so he's 300 down. He might be trying to go back to base, pick up a Vampiric Scepter is probably the best bet for him to have that survivability to last in lane.
And something we have seen early on in this game is very good tracking with those wards. Both junglers having just superficial wards into their own jungle around the Razor Beaks, around the sort of the start of these entrances to the river, means that it's very hard for them to find good gank paths. You can see Inspired here, caught on one. He's teaming up with Vander to try and clear out some vision, but they actually just walked over a ward coming up here as well that's expired just where Vander is. So it makes it quite hard for these junglers to find those avenues of attack. Yeah,
I really like how Rogue was playing right there, because we saw both Vander and Inspired coming up towards mid lane as Larssen TP'd back in. Larssen continues to freeze that lane, so Abbedagge couldn't even teleport himself. He's down 20 CS at the moment and has control wards all throughout that river, so he's very concerned whenever he walks forward, and especially with how Inspired has been controlling this lane, it makes it very tough for him to play without the knowledge of where Inspired is.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, still a slight CS lead for Upset, playing very safe in that matchup. PQ and Vander haven't really been able to pressure onto the Ezreal or Tahm Kench yet, because Schalke have the vision control. You can't really jump forward if a Lee could be waiting just around the corner. And maybe they're waiting for those, first completed items before they can really put the hammer down onto this Schalke bottom lane.
Yeah, I would say it's also very hard for Inspired to actually find a gank anywhere. Yes, you have some follow-up CC with the Braum or perhaps the Syndra as well, but ultimately all these lanes from Schalke are super safe. Bot lane, impossible to gank. Mid lane, very difficult as well, but Trick has options now that he's level 6.
We talked about the vision control. Trick standing on a control ward, knows that Rogue aren't around. Vander trying to trade in here. PQ looking for the concussive blows. Maybe IgNar just trying to see if PQ will overstep, but instead, Trick will just back away. I do want to come back to that Olaf point though, because as far as I hear and when I talk to Frost about LPL, Olaf is an early game jungler. You get early leads and you gank bot all of the time. If you can't have lanes where ganking is easy, what's the point of picking the Olaf?
Well, the point of picking the Olaf is to secure very strong dueling power. If both junglers show up, you're almost always going to win those fights. That's why he's allowed to invade here up against Trick. Even though Trick is level 6, there's no way he actually can go toe-to-toe with Inspired in that 1v1. So usually you'll see either Olafs go for a little bit more invading or control the river. He's done very well in terms of having all the scuttle crabs so far that have spawned after that first set. But as far as actually ganking lanes, it's very hard when your lanes are pushing, because Olaf doesn't have that hard CC. He has to run you down over a pretty long area of the map.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really do that when your mid lane and bottom lane are both pushing pretty consistently.
That makes a lot of sense. Larssen here coming to get his blue buff, one of the key components, of course, of Rogue, brought in this split alongside Inspired. He's been a guy that's sort of sat at the edges of the LEC for quite a long time, and now has started to make his foray into it. I think a lot of people expected him to be a bit more like a new Caps in the form of he will make plays, he will 1v1, but he's more of a utility mid. He always does his job.
Yeah, it's less the utility mid, I think, as just someone that does his job. He does not look bad, really, ever. And you say, he has the lowest death share on his team. He has the highest damage percentage on his team, too. It goes to show his stats aren't, I have the best KDA or I, get a lot of these solo kills. It's just that he is relied on very heavily by his team, and his picks play into that style. When he's playing the Azir or the Syndra, it's very much about dealing damage mid to late.
Inspired trying to get some control down here, but already the damage comes out. Glacial Fisher into the kill, the lockdown onto that Tahm Kench is huge. Trick comes in for a little bit of help, but already Rogue have picked up first blood.
Yeah, they just smashed him right there. The level 6s, as you mentioned, coming on through there, and IgNar did not stand a chance. He still had the flash. He was running unsealed, or he doesn't have the unsealed spellbook, rather. He has the Glacial Augment, but that's not going to help him at all when you just get CC'd and blown up.
So here's the question. Abbedagge is going to TP into this fight. Do Schalke take it? Larssen's here. has an orb ready and waiting. The True Shot Barrage is going to come out as well, but Vander blocks it with the Unbreakable. Abbedagge stunned into the wall. Trick up towards the side as well. The Dragon will fall, and that goes over to Rogue. Abbedagge is going to try and jump in, but you just need one shot from the concussive blows to lock him up. He's in the Shroud, jumps across onto Inspired, lands the Shuriken, jumps onto the back line.
Schalke keep going in, but he survives. Teleport from behind. That's going to be Prophet coming out on the flank. IgNar has his flash. He uses it, but he might be in trouble.
Prophet's going to try and pull him back, jumps forward, puts him into the realm of death, and drags him back to his demise. Trick in the middle of it all as well, and IgNar's still alive. Has the thick skin, upset from the side. Schalke collapse, all pincering in onto Rogue, and Rogue fall apart. 3 kills go down, add 1 more to the number, it's 4.
Upset destroys Rogue, and the flank from Odoamne, absolutely massive. What a turnaround there from Schalke, who had lost IgNar in the bottom lane, but they played off of the teleports. They knew IgNar was going to be able to make it in towards that fight, and they baited Rogue into that trap.
This Alienware replay shows us exactly what happens as Rogue are focused on the Dragon.
Yeah, see this one more time. Both top laners are skirmishing, so they can't TP in right away. Abbedagge knows he can buy time with this round. Time for IgNar to enter the fight, and then they just about get on towards that jungler Inspired, living with just a sliver. This is when Mordekaiser comes in, and don't be confused, the Shadow Realm, you can still sort of see it. They just have these spooky little ghost icons over them, but you see Trick goes in towards that fight right there, but this is the big one. Odoamne with the 3-man Q, the 3-man Q, the 2-man Q. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage coming out from the Dark Blade. Upset as well, his positioning across the wall, just pushing out the Mystic shots. Almost an artillery barrage from the side of Schalke. Now they are 1,000 gold up, 11 minutes in. 3 kills on Upset. Manamoon's Sheen already complete.
And the 1,000 gold difference is purely in that bottom lane. It is Upset with a 1k lead over Hiku, after Hiku and Vander had just gotten that 2v2 kill. So this matchup is no longer going in their favor. Upset has finished off his Manamune. That's going to be stacking up, and he's going to be working on a Trinity Force for the extra damage.
That he is looking towards getting just as much damage as possible, using IgNar as his peel tool instead of having that Iceborne Gauntlet we sometimes see from the Ezreals. Now, there was a 3-man stack from Rogue up towards the top side. They've switched, as have Schalke up towards top, understanding that the Rift Herald is the new target to play around, so you want your AD carry and support there. Trick going to be spotted out by Inspired. Still a winning matchup here for Larssen and Abbedagge in the mid lane. I do want to bring attention to that 20 CS lead for the Syndra. She is getting towards stat check territory, where you just pop your ult on someone and see if they die.
Yeah, it's going well for Larssen, but the 2 assists have sort of gotten Abbedagge back into this game. And we're reaching a point now after this big team fight where the dual lane has gone up top side with the Rift Herald 2. We can expect to see both solo laners split up into side lanes in the next few minutes, which is where Abbedagge will thrive on this Akali, and Larssen is going to lose a lot of the pressure from the work he put in the early game.
That he is. Now, next steps for these teams. Play up towards the top side. Trick still trying to stick around his mid lane and allow some protection for that Akali. At some point, you expect Schalke to look at splitting up the lanes a little bit more, opening up the map. You really need a tower to do that, which is why we keep talking about the Rift Herald, because it's such a good tower-taking tool. And if you can take it in the next minute and drop it, you get those plates out of it as well.
Which is why Trick hops over into the pit, and Vander is obviously there to put down the ward too. Both teams are very aware of the priority of this objective. You can actually see Prophet is giving up on bottom lane. He's moving up towards that mid in effort to contest around this Herald. Because there is no teleport on him, he will back down, but that movement will probably mean that Schalke could start this one up.
They could. While we have a brief lull here, we've talked a lot about Schalke with, split pushing and their ability to play the Akali and Aatrox in side lanes. What's Rogue's composition really looking to do here? What is their end goal when you look at it?
Well, I think Rogue have really good tools to try and catch out people, and they have very strong 2-item spikes, I would say, on, Hiku's Lucian. The Olaf is going to be doing very well in that point in the game, too. And Prophet, the levels between 7 and 13 are really where the Mordekaiser is going to be at his fullest potential.
Oh, here we go. Schalke started up the Rift Herald. Rogue wondering if they want to fight over an objective. It didn't go well for them last time. Schalke get it pretty easily with a 5-man stack towards the top side river, and that will be the Rift Herald picked up by Trick.
Yeah, and again, the big reason why Schalke was able to start that up is not only did they have priority in top lane because they have a 3-0 Ezreal, but also Odo was pushing down bottom lane pretty freely. He was going to be in that fight first, and after Rogue lost a fight in even numbers, they didn't want to start off a fight where they were down in them.
Definitely don't. Prophet unable to get up towards that fight quickly enough. You do see Odoamne has already finished his Phage. Scorpion's Warhammer has a Ruby Crystal as well. Prophet going towards the Haunting guys, and the Zhonya's Hourglass in the end has a Seekers for the moment. So we haven't actually seen that much Mord itemization. Are there different builds that you can tend to see from Mord, or is it one sort of standard build?
Generally, we see pretty much the same. I would say it's a lot of just health and AP items, you know, and that's what we're seeing a bit of here. But the Hextech Protobelt, I think, is very good, especially because he is a Juggernaut. That means he doesn't really have any ability to run you down. That's why we'll also see the Rylays be an important item for him, and stuff like, you know, the Leandri's Torment, which you can see he's itemizing into here, is all going to be very good. And one of the big reasons why this is so powerful is because he just gets magic penetration from his kit. That's very, very powerful. So if you just build AP, you don't have to worry about getting a Void Staff or anything like that. You are just going to be able to chunk people down and cut through those resistances.
I do just want to bring a note. We brought up our tower plate graphic on the screen. Schalke have taken two tower plates, but they weren't in range when the gold procced from them. So they did get 0 gold from it. So even though they've had the advantage in some of these lanes and they've been pushing in, they haven't been reaping all of the benefits from it.
That feels bad, man.
That is a big feels bad. It's a big feels bad.
They also lost the Infernal Drake, even though they got that kill and that teamfight victory around that objective, but they have a very good control over this map. Again, with 3 pushing lanes at the moment, even though Abbedagge is losing in CS, the advantages they have gotten and the ability for Tahm Kench to show up at any time has enabled them to play the map and now look volatile.
And this is where the map opens up even more as the Rift Tower is used. Remember, guys, the LEC Summer Finals is going to Athens on the 7th and 8th of September. You can get your tickets at riot.com/Athens. I know I'll be there, Ender will be there, we'll all be there. It's going to be a joyous occasion, I am sure. The first tower falls, Schalke get it 16 minutes in. And they are about 2,000 gold ahead. IgNar comes in with the Abyssal Void towards the top side, but here's the TP.
Teleport behind Odoamne. His last flank was menacing. He goes in again.
But Odo's already so low, he's not going to revive from the world. End of the Cullen comes out, and Hiku takes him down. TP in by Prophet just to join the party. But already Abbedagge caught out with the wind despite upset jumping forward. Prophet on the front line. Abbedagge jumping in, and now Rogue have to retreat back behind the tower. Death's Grasp doesn't land, but Abbedagge so low. Prophet looking for the damage here as he can pop the Realm of Death.
Oh, Hiku wants it. IgNar to slow down without a flash. He should go down, buying that time with the Zhonyas. And Upset looks to turn.
Upset almost takes down his bow. Oh. Gets it, licks him in the back and takes him out. And here comes Trick. The rest of Schalke have realized they can take this fight. Trick jumping in. Death's Grasp pulls them both back. Look at the damage coming out. Abbedagge ignited. He goes into the Twilight Shroud. Hiku takes the kill. And now IgNar's in for a wild of hurt as Prophet's on the chase. Hiku can jump forward once again.
Oh man, Hiku looking for the kills. He wanted to jump forward on towards Trick there, but he buys his time. He turns back around, and it's Rogue that come out on top.
What a fight in the top lane. 3 kills to 1 in favor of Rogue. They get the tower in the mid as Larssen didn't even join the party. And now Rogue have equalized that gold score as well. They have fought back from behind, and the TP from Odoamne was not in the right place.
No, it was not. You know, maybe if he had to revive without getting that first kill, it would have been a little bit better for him. He was getting very hypey after that first play, and I was too. I thought it was all Schalke, but no, Rogue were able to kite him back, burst him down, and even without Larssen showing up, Larssen just pieced out. He's like, I'm going to push mid lane, I'm going to get the tower, you guys, you can handle it, and Rogue certainly did.
That they did. They have these pick tools at their disposal now. They've got a lot of damage if they can catch someone out. We've seen Upset aggressively jump forward a few times. It can work out, but if you do that, there's no Devour and you hit an Unleashed Power to the face, you're in for a very, very bad time. Gold pretty much equalized. Teams probably taking a breather after that fight, working out where they go next, because we've got 2 minutes on the Baron, we've got a Mountain Drake coming up next as well. There's a few opportunities for these guys, but the question is, what part of the map do you want to set up around?
Well, looks like Rogue very keen on focusing down this bottom side. You know, there is a tower still available, and Abbedagge was pushing down there, but I think Rogue, their best bet now is they want to knock down some towers and they want to use this Olaf to run people down. Now that there's, you know, no flash on IgNar or Odoamne, it makes it much easier for Rogue to find the picks that they're looking for, and they can try to use their pressure now after winning that fight to have their way around the map.
The major difficulty, though, for Rogue is Schalke have more tools to get around the map. Yes, their teleports are down, but you've still got the Abyssal Voyage. Abbedagge still has the TP, so that's where they're attacking. They're saying, you can't run away if we catch you underneath your tower. Abbedagge in the Twilight Stride takes the culling, manages to jump away.
Come on! Akali just goes invisible underneath the tower. It's 3v1. There's no help on the way. Abbedagge just pieces out, though he's totally fine because Hiku was tanking the tower and had to back away. And that means Schalke, even though they were caught out bottom lane, they get the damage down on mid and are trying to knock it down.
Odo is in the realm of death as he pops the World Ender as well. Up towards the top side, Prophet trying to fight back. Odo's just going to use that movement speed to get away, but remember that Abyssal Voyage. We talked about it a moment ago. Upset's coming in, looking for the chase behind the tower.
Yeah, this is going to be a 3-man dive, 4-man if Trick gets into the area. Prophet, no flash, he's going down.
He's got nowhere to go. He pulls Upset back, but IgNar's tanking up the tower. Now Rogue trying to answer in the mid lane.
Yeah, there's no one here to clear away the waves. Trick and Abbedagge are on their way, but they have absolutely zero wave clear. This should be a tower here for Rogue. That's honestly a pretty good trade.
True shot barrage coming out to try and play the minions, but Vander blocks it. That's the mid lane tower gone. Abbedagge stunned up. Could have popped the unleashed power. Tower falls in the top lane as well. As the game settles once again, Rogue back away, Baron up in just 10 seconds.
This is so interesting because neither team is looking for that 5v fight right now. It's all about controlling side lanes. When it didn't work there for Rogue bottom lane, they said we're going to get the tower and then push mid. They lost their top laner, but still had all the members grouped up that they were able to get that second objective.
Now, as we crest the 20-minute mark, let's have a look at what some of the things we talked about earlier. Was HeQ able to bully Upset out of the lane? No, but Upset got 3 kills in a team fight down towards the river. HeQ is doing a very good job of keeping even on CS and has 2 kills of his own, building up towards that Essence Reaver next. So he's in a strong spot on this Lucian, and you have to say, at the moment, it's looking like a good substitution for the Rogue squad.
Yeah, you know, I think HeQ is performing just fine right now. They even got that 2 versus 2 kill in the bottom lane, so no, they didn't bully in that matchup, but they did have the upper hand up until things went a little haywire around that dragon. Now I think the biggest challenge for him is going to be navigating this very low-range Lucian in team fights against champions like the Akali and the Larssen that are very mobile and can follow you. You know, usually Lucian's advantage is that he can dash around, but those champs can absolutely get on top.
Here we go. Abbedagge up towards the top side has the teleport, but Rogue aren't going to fight. I got myself all worked up for nothing there, and Schalke will take the Mountain Drake. Rogue say, okay, we'll take mid prio, and then we'll move into your top side jungle.
Yeah, and getting this vision is really what I want to see from them, but you know, Vander looks like he only has 1 ward left to play, so they actually can't get too much done. He's going to have to reset and then make his way back on towards the map. So in a situation where they should have had a little bit of time to maybe set up and find a pick, if Schalke were moving in towards the river up top side to get vision on Baron, they will no longer be able to make that move.
Not quite yet, but both teams want to set up around the Baron for now. You know how impactful that can be, especially when you are looking to put some of these key carries in the side lanes. Having Baron on your Aatrox, on your Akali, just sets you up so well to push into those towers. The question becomes, who gains the vision control around it? Who's going to be able to set up properly around it? Because at the moment, Schalke have total vision control around it, and there's nothing from Rogue.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a little bit slow here. Neither team has really seemed willing to make a play with 5 members. Yes, we had the dragon fight and that top lane teleport, but those felt like exceptions to the rule, whereas the last 5 or so minutes, both teams have been playing very much on areas where they have numbers, where they have a lot of strength. This means you see Inspired and Vander walking around together, looking for picks on towards Abbedagge in the side lane. We've already seen that has not been super successful for them. And they have to act quickly because there's always the threat of the Tahm Kench entering the fight very soon.
I'd also want to come back to that Olaf pick, because we talked about how you want to control vision, you want to be able to control objectives. It's kind of worked out for them at times, but it hasn't been anywhere near as impactful as you would have liked it to be. Schalke got the Ocean and the Mountain Drake, Oni and Inferno going over to Rogue, and now control of this area is given over to Schalke once again.
Yeah, we could be seeing a play go up towards top side. I was thinking maybe Schalke wanted to use that Tahm Kench to enter in towards the fight, but it's still a very strong Rogue squad here with this Olaf who's building damage. I do like that you bring him up, because oftentimes you think to the past Olaf, you say he doesn't scale very well, he doesn't do much. That was in the days where he built full tank and where team fights were very front to back. Nowadays, I still say no, he doesn't scale that great in the team fights, but what jungler really does, instead he is very strong with these damage items at finding smaller skirmishes and blowing up single targets.
Upset's going to walk across the ward here. HeQ's already popped the culling, the perfect execution's going to stun him. Abyssal Voyage comes in as well. Abbedagge jumping onto the back line, the true shot barrage. HeQ taken out. That's actually Vander that falls first. HeQ survived. Here comes Odo onto the back line. Inspired tries to turn on him straight away. HeQ trying to get the damage in, but Odo gets the reset, and now he's looking for more.
Odo once more, he's going to get the revive, and he might get HeQ. The Q gets canceled there, and Prophet very, very low. Trick gonna knock him down, and Abbedagge's on the chase.
Yeah, Larssen caught out with a shuriken, gets the knockback, but unable to get a kill. Schalke walk out towards the Baron straight away.
And look at this. Upset went back to base. He then teleported into mid lane to clear away that wave and make his way on towards the Baron. HeQ is way too low to contest around this objective, and should be free for Schalke.
Should be a pretty easy take for them. Vander does have TP here if they want to fight it. Vander's going to teleport towards Larssen. 5,000 HP on the Baron. Schalke starting it. Redemption coming out as well. Trick quite low. Look at the damage from Larssen here. Doesn't have the ult, but can't land the connection on the stun either. Vander stepping forward. Lucian nowhere near this, and Rogue have to back away. Schalke take the Baron. We said how important it is with their split push. It's going to work out so well for them.
Once again, both teams fully teleport committing up towards the top side because Schalke knew that Rogue wanted to have this 3v1 on towards Abbedagge. So Abbedagge starts it up and goes on TP, takes him very low, and then dashes out of the fight entirely. Then Prophet comes on in here, and he's not really able to get all that much done. At the same time, Odo makes big waves on the bottom side of the fight where he gets that first kill, and then the kill gives him the revive, so he's able to buy so much time. The Prophet just can't, even with the W, to try and stay alive.
You can see Prophet trying to be the tank in the front line, just unable to survive through all of Schalke's damage. A 5,000 gold lead now for the Royal Blues. 25 minutes in, they've accelerated this game away from Rogue, and this is kind of to be expected from the team's positions at the end of last split, from how they've been playing this split as well. Schalke look like a playoff contender, and although Rogue look better than they did in spring, they're still looking like a 6th to 7th position. Yeah,
Rogue have been struggling in a lot of these fights here, but it's still not too far gone for them. The Baron, if they can try to weather it out, they do have some options to try and play later, but I do not like the scaling game from their side if it goes too long here with the Lucian and the Syndra not doing quite as much as their counterparts, as we get on towards 4, 5, 6 items.
I think the big thing you have to look at is what did Rogue give up in the draft and what did they take in the draft? They got this Syndra, 0-1-0, 50 CS up, yes, but Larssen has not had the impact on this game to justify that pick. Has the Mord had the impact on the game to justify that pick?
No,
I don't think so either. Part of it, of course, is Schalke playing very well and you have to give them credit, but you do have to sometimes look back at the draft and say, were the picks in the order they came out justified? Now, Abbedagge caught out just a little bit, but he just jumps the wall, as you said before. Akali so slippery.
Now look at this mid lane, right? That tower goes down so low. Rogue spent 3 members up topside again to pick this Akali. Just stop doing it. It's not going to happen. They sacrificed their inhibitor tower almost all the way forward, and there it goes. It goes down. Every single lane is losing, and they can't make a move.
Realm of Death was used in the bottom lane as Prophet tries to catch on to Odoamne. Hiku here as well, Vander on the way. Abyssal Voyage used, and immediately IgNar can just spit out Odoamne if he needs. Can't quite get the devour off, but already the resets come out. Hiku on the backline very low. Trick trying to come in as well. Abbedagge coming in with the TP. Odoamne on the front line. Inspired goes golden. Abbedagge takes out Hiku, and now Schalke pushing forward.
Abbedagge going deeper, goes on forward. IgNar underneath the tower. They're going to get it. It's a double kill for Abbedagge.
Just clean them off the face of the rift. Schalke take down 5, lose none, and they are going to take this game pretty darn easily.
Yeah, 26 minutes on the clock. They still have 45 seconds of Baron, and Rogue do not have the timers themselves. This one is Schalke all the way.
The death timers are ticking for Rogue, but Schalke waited for their moment to strike, and they take down Rogue to go 4 and 3.
Schalke come in with a couple of clean team fights, multiple TPs around the map. They showed they understood how to play this map game with the Tahm Kench too. They knew we can show up, we have these fights, and every single time it was the same formula. It was Odoamne on a flank fighting big damage onto the backline, onto an overextended Rogue. That is what Schalke were so good at. It was punishing the overcommits from this team.
Just kept finding the picks that they needed to, and as you say, like it was Rogue investing into the Infernal Drake, being overextended. It was Rogue making those plays towards Abbedagge, being overextended. Every time it felt like Rogue were going for a 3v1 play, a 3v2 play, and immediately Schalke said, well, we have Abyssal Voyage and double TP, we're just going to collapse.
Yeah, it's funny too, because the first time that Rogue made that play into Abbedagge bot lane, Schalke, they responded by ganking topside. The second time, they're like, wait a second. They're just going to keep going for you. You're never going to die. Let's just bring the whole crew up here and find this easy team fight. And, apart from that one awry teleport from Odoamne, his Aatrox looked really, really clean.
Have to give credit to Upset as well. Once again, a stellar Ezreal performance, 6-0-5. Obviously, getting 3 kills early on is incredibly helpful, but when he gets Ezreal, he tends to win games. That's kind of what Upset does at the moment, alongside IgNar in that bottom lane, looking like one of the bottom lanes to be feared in the LEC this split. Rogue, on the other hand, their comp never really did what it was meant to do. It had one good fight top, but that was more Schalke overextending into them.
Yeah, I think that Rogue, they needed to control the game a little bit more. You know, bottom lane had just started going well, and then you have this fight that blows up the game. They had a lot of winning lanes early on, mid lane and bottom lane both. The second that fight happens, not only do they throw away their entire lead, it seemed, but also the lane state just deteriorated. No longer was it 2 people in bot lane versus 2 people in bot lane. They didn't have these matchups, and then the game got a little bit out of their control where they couldn't really use any of their picks to press an advantage.
Yeah, and I think looking back at it, part of it was whenever Abbedagge was in the side lane, it was HiQ and Vander going to answer him, and Larssen was the one with the lead. You know, Larssen had a 50 CS lead, and I know Syndra into Akali is a very hard 1v1 matchup, especially in a longer lane, but you have to find a way to utilize the big member on your team. You have to find a way to unleash Larssen on the map, because otherwise, all you're doing is saying, okay, Larssen, you wave clear in a 3v1, we won't get a kill on the other side of the map, and eventually you'll die.
Yeah, you push mid lane, you take that tower while we 4v5 top side. That was about what we saw.
That was pretty much it. Of course, commiserations to Rogue. They fall to 2 and 5, but still, same amount of wins as Spring Split, so all they need is pick it one more.
You're doing great,
and they
guys.
go above it. We're going to have another look at some of the Schalke highlights from that game. This Infernal Drake was the start of it all.
I mean, Rogue just love Abbedagge. They want to get this guy, you know? And they ended up escaping here just barely, but then they see this turnaround with the teleport flank coming in from Prophet's Mordekaiser. He, of course, then used the Death Realm on towards IgNar, who now no longer has the ability to gobble up any of his allies, but it doesn't really matter because sacrificing your top laner for the enemy support just is not worth it.
And the big thing about that is, as soon as IgNar's in the realm of death, no one else can do damage to him.
Yeah.
So it's him versus more than a 1v1, and it just allows a huge amount of time for the TP to come behind them. Now, this is Trick's point of view on that final fight.
Yeah, it was a really nice play from Trick on this one, but I have to say, my favorite Mordekaiser ult of the game was when Prophet uses it down bottom lane to lead off this fight when his team is trying to gank the Aatrox, so he forced a 1v1 while his team actually had more people there at the start.
It's always the issue with Mordekaiser ults. We talk about it, like if your jungler is ganking top lane, you don't ult the enemy because you just lock yourself into that 1v1. We saw taking an enemy out of the game doesn't always win you the fight.
Yeah, sometimes it can actually lose you fights if you pick the wrong person. It goes to show that this champion, while it's very oppressive in a lot of cases in 1v1 fights, and if you can select the right members to pull out and trade yourself for in a fight, it can be good, but it's not a one-size-fits-all champion.
Not at all. Of course, lots of credit to Schalke snowballing that lead. You could see 20 minutes, it was pretty much even. 25 minutes, it was pretty much done for them. I do believe we have a key player of the game for this matchup as well. You can vote at lolesports on Twitter. Abbedagge, Upset, and IgNar are your choices, and I think any one of those guys could get it.
Yeah, you know, just flip a coin, a three-sided coin, as one does.
You can get three-sided die, like the triangular ones for D&D games.
Yeah, but no, it has to be a coin.
It has to be a coin, apparently.
Very important it is a coin.
It's very important it's a coin, guys.